Just last season, after finishing off the Celtics in an intense back and forth that ended 4-2, the Miami Heat were crowned the Eastern Conference champions and ultimately just lost out on the NBA championship to the Lakers. The team was looking and playing better than they have in recent years, and Heat fans were definitely getting optimistic about the future. However, with an underwhelming start to the 2020-21 season, it's safe to say the Heat aren't looking as hot as everybody expected. What happened to the Miami Heat? The city of Miami hasn't seen good basketball in a while. We all remember how they dominated the early 2010s with the likes of D. Wade, Chris Bosh, and of course, LeBron James front-running the team to multiple NBA championships. But ever since the dominant trio departed, the team hasn't exactly been in stellar form. They've failed to reach the conference finals since 2014, and the fate of the franchise really hung in the balance for several more years after that. That was up until the year 2020.
Butler throwing haymakers at each other. Butler drives, and he's fouled.
Remember this moment? This was the moment that made not just Laker fans, but pretty much every basketball fan gain a new level of respect for Jimmy Butler, as it was clear that he and the Heat were not going down without a fight and were ready to give their all on the court if and when it came down to it. It became apparent that the Heat were a force to be reckoned with. Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, Duncan Robinson, and Jay Crowder. The Heat's lineup was looking stacked low-key. And although they did lose in the finals, losing to one of the best Laker sides in recent history with AD and arguably the greatest player of all time is nothing to be ashamed of. The team was undoubtedly looking to have a great next season. But for whatever reason, when the new season did come along, they seemed to be having a hard time kicking things off right, winning just 7 out of their first 20 games. That's worse than the Knicks. They've also been plagued by a series of unfortunate events. Jimmy missed out on 9 games due to getting the Rona. Tyler was possibly exposed to the Rona and was temporarily sidelined, and when he was given the green light to return, his performances so far haven't been enough to keep the team above water. Myers Leonard's season came to an abrupt end due to his shoulder injury. Duncan Robinson, who played a pivotal role as a sharpshooter in the playoffs last season, has actually been playing pretty decent this season, but his inconsistent performances haven't helped the situation at all. Some nights he's dropping 26, some nights he's dropping 6. In addition to that, one of their more important players in the playoffs, Jay Crowder, signed to the Suns before the start of the season. Andre Iguodala, a player who Klay Thompson once described as a Swiss Army knife due to his insane work rate on both offense and defense, has honestly been more of a butter knife ever since he came to Miami, as he hasn't been as effective as he was back in Golden State. Fans have also urged head coach Eric Spoelstra to give Kendrick Nunn more game time, which is understandable considering in his debut season, he averaged 15.3 points, 3.3 assists, and 2.7 rebounds. Pretty impressive stats for a rookie who would undoubtedly flourish under the right conditions. And right now, the first condition he'll need is probably more playing time. To add to their woes, the Eastern Conference won't be that easy to progress out of this time around. The Bucks are looking on point as always. The 76ers are having an amazing season so far, for whatever reason. And the Nets? Well, yeah. And let's not even talk about Sexland. The point is the Eastern Conference is heating up, ironically without the Heat really being in the mix. It's pretty crazy that the thought of the Heat beating out all the other teams in the Eastern Conference to possibly face the Lakers again is almost impossible. But that really was the case last season. It just goes to show how quick the game changes. Sometimes it can work in your favor, and sometimes it can work against you. Overall, it's still pretty early in the 2021 NBA season, and there's a lot of basketball left to be played, so the Heat does have a chance to turn the season around. And on top of that, even if they don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals this time around, the squad is still pretty young, so there's hope for the future of the franchise, provided they don't get traded and all.